It still is.
It used to be bigger, but it's gotten smaller. And it's
76
getting
on
smaller.
stuff, but it's still very much a thing.
Oh, we don't have a camera.
Where's the dazzle?
It's right here.
No. Sorry. Unplug that dazzle USB and plug it back in.
Okay.
And this.
I didn't plug this phone in.
Swear that I will not put the United States
What? Sorry.
Let's try to fix it.
Hearing none, can I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda? Say aye. Consent agenda passes unanimously. Number 3, superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
We have a lot of individuals that would be recognizing this evening, and we're going to start with 3 staff members who have been recognized by peers and parents as our Caucus Award recipients for 2015. So we'll move up to the front here. Gary Downs will lead us in this effort.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Thompson and Mr. Butkowski and I are really excited to share the 2015 Compass Award recipients with you this evening. Before we do that, I wanted to share maybe the group some information about the Compass Award. We'll do that now. The purpose of the Compass is to reinforce and recognize staff who, through their commitments and contributions, ensure that every student is learning, growing, and succeeding. Specifically, the Compass honors staff members who meet estimated criteria in the following areas. First, positive impact on students. Second, positive impact on staff, parents, and the community. Third, a commitment to continuous improvement, leadership, and leadership. And fourth, a champion for innovation, creativity, and best practice. So essentially, again, for the middle group, nomination process includes a minimum of 3 individuals who contribute in writing documenting how the staff member meets board criteria. And third and finally, a team of administrators and staff members. Those staff members are Compass Award recipients from the prior year. Review the many nominations and need to determine who the recipients will be. And then after that, the team surprises the recipients after school. We did so on April 1st in the presence of students and our staff. It's possible to share. No joke. To share with them who the Compass recipient is. So there were some peers involved in so those recipients receive recognition tonight at the meeting. I'll do that in a moment. They're also invited to the annual Muskegon Norway recognition dinner in May. And they'll be recognized in front of all Muskegon Norway staff members on $2 all staff appreciation and their lunch. So they also receive a new car. And unlimited all expense paid travel to destinations of your choosing. I made a couple of those things up. So at this point, Kelly, Rick, and I would like to recognize the 3 2015 Compass Award recipients. So round of applause for Captain John, the nomination papers and share that with the board and these are just some highlights that really need to recognize the selection of 2015. So we'll start with Captain John. So when we think about positive impact on students, staff, parents, and the community, some folks from individuals who nominated. The positive impact that Kathy has on the many students and classrooms she serves is immeasurable. They are greeted, students are each day with a warm and genuine welcome from her. They are always dismissed from her group by shaking Kathy's hand and stating, "I'm a reader and a writer." When you think about Kathy as a reading teacher at children and her commitment to the team's consistent leadership and service, Kathy John's commitment and mindset for growth make her a true champion for change. She continually inspires others through collaboration with communities by sharing her ideas and insight relative to best reading practices, focusing on full text instruction and specific challenges in reading and non-reading. She is innovative, totally knowledgeable, always informed as it relates to reading, writing, and coaching skills for both students and teachers. And Kathy, last but not least, we think about you as a champion for innovation, creativity, and best practice. So from a parent, Kathy relates to our children in a remarkable way, always caring for the whole person. When you have a child that is struggling with reading, it's not only a challenge for the student, but it's also a separating parent as well. Kathy is able to attend to the individually of specific needs of our students and makes reading fun and exciting. Congratulations, Kathy, for that 15 years. So we have many folks here from nominations to share. Specific to positive impact on students, staff, parents, and the community. One person wrote, Joanne is passionate about student learning and success. She is driven to help her students grow academically by analyzing district, grade level, and classroom data in order to plan and differentiate instruction to help students meet or exceed benchmarks. She understands the importance of developing positive relationships with parents by inviting them He has earned a reputation as someone who listens and respects others' opinions. When needed, Joanne navigates challenging situations with patience, empathy, and fairness, using a positive, collaborative approach. Joanne is also instrumental in planning and implementing a school-wide intensive reading program called And when you think about Joanne as a champion for innovation, creativity, and best practice, Joanne demonstrates her willingness to try new research-based techniques that ensure student success at being continuous learners. So like Kathy, there are reams and reams of these nomination paperwork and posts like this. That's a share of the naked thing. She does everything. You're excellent. So Joanne, congratulations. Jamie's a band teacher who's going to be on at high school. He's been a band teacher since August 2003, and Jamie got to share with me some of the many wonderful things that college experiences. So positive impact on student, staff, parents, and the community. It could be argued that no individual in the Muskegon-Norwood School District system has a greater direct impact on a per-student basis than Jamie Beckman. As one of the co-directors of over 300 students in the band, Jamie draws these students to the music program because of the rich, dynamic array of activities. Mr. Beckman has also used the power of music to positively impact families. He teaches music not only as a subject, but as a way of life. Another way Mr. Beckman has had a positive impact on students, according to one of the students, is that he takes the time to get to know each of them at a personal level. Jamie specifics like movement and continuous improvement. When Jamie Beckman took over the band director position 7 years ago, there were approximately 100 students in the band. As a result of Jamie's flexible and inclusive philosophy, the band members reacted as well and created that stop for the Muskegon High School marching band to be the biggest in the state of Wisconsin, numbering over 300 members. And last, Jamie has innovation. When it comes to thinking outside the box, many of these as well probably be a Jamie Beckman. This past February, Jamie was the oldest assistant of the Muskegon marching Quickly before all three of you have the board, we are US staff members here. One of you mentioned important the good work that you've seen in the students certainly overseeing the good work that you're doing with students. You're all here to we're truly positive and it's also like to we're happy to have you on our team. Here's work with confidence, make the work you do all in this and we're fundamental for you. So congratulations.
policy work, which are the administrative guidelines. And so those will be coming to the board sometime in summer, this summer, for review and approval. And there's just a note from David Simpson from the city of Muskego, just reminding the district that the Woods Road will be closed in order to reconstruct Drive. The closure will begin May 4th, and there should be advanced warning signs up by actually last Monday advising drivers of the closure. It is hoped that the reconstruction will be completed by August 21st so that it won't, so school could open start of the new school year without that major hurdle. And that includes the superintendent's report.
Moving on with other reports, President's report. You look on your, I want to say the packet, but it's just an electronic thing again. Call it that. Under President's report, there is a copy of a resolution in there, and I can read it. So folks can take a bigger. Last board meeting, I talked, mentioned in my report that due to the comments that we had gotten from our school resource officers, one of the issues that they were having at the high school was things like vapor cigarettes or e-cigarettes, and mentioned some frustration with not having a little more teeth inside our school rules. So I sent a request to the mayor of Mosquito to ask if it's something that we could possibly consider doing an ordinance. She replied back that if the board is hopeful, we should pass a resolution for that. I'm just considering at that point. So the resolution I have here says, whereas the city of Mosquito has been recognized as one of the safest communities in which to live in America, whereas both the city of Mosquito and Mosquito Norway School District provide services that sustain the quality of life that has been recognized for this community. Whereas both the city of Mosquito and the Mosquito Norway School Board provide services that promote the health, welfare, and safety of its citizens and students, and whereas the Mosquito Norway School Board has adopted a policy that prohibits the use of all tobacco products, and more recently, the use of vapor smoking devices on school district property. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mosquito Norway School Board, in order to maintain the health, welfare, and safety of its students and adult citizens, respectfully request that the city of Mosquito create an ordinance that prohibits the use of vapor smoking devices on school district property. It's dated and there's all the time. So I guess I want to throw that out there. It is agendized, so that's some discussion on this. If there's an objection to bring this forward, that's fine. Yes. The report? Yes. More discussion on this, or is there any with it as is? Not sure if one of the communities have this. I know Ottawa was talking about bringing this forward. I'm not sure what the current state is on it right now. They have a similar private reach on this one. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor, moving this on to the city, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. The only other thing under President's report I wanted to bring up kind of touches a little story I heard the other day. I wasn't at, there was a baseball game going on at the Rock, and this spring season, most of the teams that are there are teams that play in summer, but they're kind of get teams together so they get warmed up for the summer teams or summer season. So there's a group of mostly seniors and some juniors that are playing that form the team up there. They play teams from around here, Franklin, Oak Creek, other schools. All these other schools have coaches and everything. The Mosquito team, I guess, doesn't have a coach. Just gets out there playing. They're rather good, I guess. They pretty much get big leads on the other team. At the end of the last game, the coach came up to all of these kids and just said, I want to congratulate you guys on how well you behaved and how fun it was to play you guys. You guys got a huge lead to start with. You were respectful. You guys looked like you were having fun, and I've had less problems with you guys not having a coach than I've had with any other team that's been coached. So, yeah, it's a good reflection on our school district. That, seeing the sportsmanship board, so it's good opportunity. That's it for President's report. Mark's report.
First of all, thank you to Mr. Bowman and Mr. Buckmaster for serving on the Board of Canvassers.
Both tallies totaled quickly. The results of the spring 2015 school board elections held on Tuesday, April 7th are as follows. Lisa Warwick received 2,403 votes. Rick Schrader received 2,529 votes. Dean Strong received 2,388 votes. There were a total of 42 for write-ins, for a grand total of 7,362 votes.
Board member reports. Hearing none. Committee reports. There are none. Nice. Student representation.
Monday night. I resolved this, but I was to be there until I graduated, because that's 54 days. No one's counting 54 days.
How many hours?
It's on my phone, don't worry. It's somewhere. I haven't done something on my phone.
You're going to miss those things.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. We were at a student council meeting, and we were doing this new members, like the voting for Oxford. I was like, so after activity, last week we go to PLA, we did an FPLA state leadership conference and stuff. And I've got a certain Wisconsin FPLA state president for the past year. I did a great job of leading the state conference on a really good team. As I asked my advisor, I'll answer the director to the Wisconsin FPLA region, vice president next year. The CEO FPLA received many special recognition awards for state community service. They got fourth place for the fall virtual business management challenge. They got third place for the spring virtual business challenge. They got second place. And for their leadership award, Diane McIntyre received it, and she got fourth. There were several competitors who are engaging in nationals. Lauren Humberger and Toby Kelly were the two. Nick Gallo, Henry McNally, and Russell Stroud were the two. Gordon Russell and Brian Halliday were the two. Diane McIntyre were the different events, so we might do some. And Morgan was also on the phone. This past Saturday, I'm going to go to Runway. At the University of Wisconsin-Madison for the WHSSA state tournament. That subject for the first place goal is closed speaking and got perfect scores in all qualifying rounds. Katie Stroud earned the first place goal in Toronto speaking.
What is that?
I don't know, really. I got
I think it's taking different genres, like a poem and an essay, and maybe parts of the one-act play that have the same theme, and you present them together as work essays together. No, I couldn't.
We can also
I'm
ask
sure
the
forensics participants could.
Well, actually, and we are inviting them on May 4th to come, so.
Give her a heads up.
Yeah.
I don't know her, but I felt that. So this week, the girls softball team competes against Calmar Games on Tuesday, and the girls varsity will also compete. Last Friday, softball team was CMH and the boys had a varsity prom at full month Saturday. Also, the NHS state softball was a big success on the grass station conference, and we do like those competitions to this room on those ones. And then one last thing I have for you is a personal invitation for each one of you for a student conversation. I know you probably already going, but I'm stuck one of the different for you. So, I mean, it'll be fun if you guys all
Wow, they won't kick you out again.
I
think because Kylan's going to go, otherwise that would have worked. And our theme this year was mustache.
Yeah, but I saw them everywhere.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do we have to wear them?
Yeah, probably.
So that's promoting lift, driving safety.
Fine.
I have. Oh, you do? Okay. You have one?
No.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you
You
could
could
burn.
And of course, this Friday is cabaret at the high school. Yep. It is exciting.
I'm not musically talented.
And you can
You can
watch
still
and listen
watch.
to everybody else.
Sure. Oh, I thought you had to do something.
No, you buy a ticket, you just sit back, relax, and the desserts and listen.
I'm more of a music appreciation.
There is,
Perfect.
that's a nice made for you. Bring your
I
friends.
was good at music. I always like tried, and my parents were like.
So what are your plans for next year?
I'm going to obviously just speak for AOB accountants. So, as you know, when Laura works, yeah, my dad works there, and he's like, for the state association of daycare workers, that has been for 14 years now. And so I kind of like rubbed off on me, all of the friends are AOB accountants. I was like, I mean, I think I'll like that. But I had a question about what you were doing with the legal thing.
We are asking the city to pass an ordinance to not allow the vapor things on school grounds. They're not allowed by school rule, but they can't. Essentially, we can just take them away. So it might have more teeth if they get a ticket.
It's not like the seniors kind of are like one of the sophomores that they think cool and really lame and everything's kind of
Keep telling them.
I mean, I do. I tell them all the time, like, let's go down, like, doing that at school, like, really dumb about it.
Keep telling them.
Now you can tell them they might get a ticket for it.
I'll let them know. I'll tell everyone know it's not true.
Thank you. Moving on, public forum. It's your opportunity to present any issues to the school board. Seeing no one running up here quickly, moving on to resolution action items. Number 5A, donation.
Motion to accept with thanks the following donations. At Country Meadows Elementary, from Target Take Charge of Education, $393.75. At Lakeview Elementary, from PPG Industries, $1,000 for reading development. This donation was facilitated by Todd and Christine Oswald. And from Target Take Charge of Education, $390.37 for additional Chromebooks for 4th grade. At Muskego Elementary, from the Muskego Elementary PTO, $7,570 for 30 Chromebooks and 1 charging card. At Muskego High School, from the Muskego Elementary PTO, $400 for the Best Buddies program. And from the Muskego Boys Basketball Booster Club, $121.82 for slipknot board and replacement sheets.
So moved.
Discussion? Thank you.
I wanted to just say one thing about this, because there were a couple of things that just caught my eye on these donations. Wonderful donations all across the board. I just wanted to signal out Muskego Elementary. I mean, that's an amazing amount of money, over $7,000 for the Chromebook. And then the other thing I thought was just particularly noteworthy is an elementary school PTO donating to a high school program. It just really shows the interconnectedness of the schools in the district that, someone at the elementary school thought fit, first of all, to recognize that there's that program at the high school, and then to want to donate their fundraising to that.
I also think, I'm not sure, but I think that program was.
The
Best Buddies?
Yes.
No, but we do have a parent advisory group, and when we looked at having Best Buddies start, we went to that parent advisory group, and the PTO from Muskego Elementary is on that advisory group, and we had them come back to share all the wonderful things Best Buddies has done over the last year, and I think it just really touched in the hearts of so many that were in the room. I think it really motivated.
I'm extremely glad we have that program. I almost wish I was here when my daughter was here. She's out of school now, but she participates in Market University as Best Buddies program. In fact, she spent yesterday in something. But they have all kinds of activities. She's paired up with a college freshman and sophomore. They have some kind of contact at least once a week, and then at least once a month they have an activity with the whole together. So it's really a great program. I'm really glad we're doing it here. It's making those things that don't always fit in. Mold and get some sense of almost. Any other discussion on it? Donation? Hearing none, all those in favor, donation say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Donations are accepted. Thank you very much. Moving on to the discussion items. Item 6A, the 2015-16 budget. Going on to item 6B, 2015-16 school officer, resource officer agreement.
So the board requested, if you recall, the initial contract that we had with the Muskego Police Department related to the SROs had us making a decision about the next year by April 1st. And so the board had requested me to talk with the PD to see whether or not they would look at something a little closer to when they do their negotiations and really the timing that they would have to make a decision. And so, in fact, they did agree to move that timeline from April 1st to August 1st, which is closer to that the yearly contract that we would be engaging in with them then. They did have a number of other changes that they wanted the board to consider. So just some language change in item number 3, then a change from July 1st to June 31st as that contract year to September 1st through August 31st, so more of like a school year contract. And then including the district elementary schools in item number 9. Also, rather than doing a daily log, just recognizing the fact that they come to the board annually to share their activities and actions taken during the course of the school year.
Can we stop right there?
Sure, absolutely.
So, how that's the case, and not that I agree with daily logs, but if that's the case, how does school administrators account for or have the ability to account for school resource officer utilizing the time fully or correctly or properly?
They would still have a log. So Candace, for instance, does do a daily log. But it just wouldn't be something that they would share with the school board, and actually haven't shared with the school board. Pardon me?
Well, it doesn't say the school board. It says the school resource officer. Initially, it said provide to the Muskego School District, which I would think that would be very helpful. And I'm just going to use an example. I think I had sent an example of what we expect in Franklin for our officer to do for the school district. And not only as a courtesy, but it allows them to see what work he's performing each week. So it's weekly. But
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I don't think it has to be daily. It might even have to be weekly, but I'm just concerned that they need to have some accountability, not just to the police department, but to the school district. And what I'm thinking about is worst case scenario where maybe one of the officers isn't working out. And we really haven't had that situation to my knowledge, but if it is, how do they then track what's being done and how to improve their performance as to what our expectations are. So I'm not sure that I just want a one-time report. Maybe to us is a one-time report, but maybe there needs to be something in here about how they're accountable to school principal or administration.
Sure.
And then a one-time report to us is more than half.
Maybe you want an and in there. That's not the language that has brought.
Provide the administration with a weekly or
Do
monthly.
you want weekly or just a long?
I think whatever those three principals or administrations think is adequate.
Mhm.
If they think it's weekly or monthly or quarterly, fine. But I think we need something just to make sure that if it's not working with us, we can go back and say, what are you doing? Because we don't see that all the job responsibilities are being done, at least what our expectations are. And to us, one year is fine. You know,
Good.
yeah.
For the next. Does everybody agree that we should have some sort of regular communication log? Okay. Sure.
The only question I had, I find that was when they gave their input, I do want to talk a little bit pretty often, there are a lot of clerical items that I observed on a lot of schools that they can.
In the report that they came here with?
I think a lot of clerical items that I think need to be done by somebody else. And I began to question whether or not there's any sort of and that was something that struck me. So whatever format it comes in, I think something to at least know because that clerical.
Have we ever seen activity levels for them?
As far as number of.
Yeah, because that's another thing. That's another thing that. Okay, so that's another thing that we require the school liaison officer in Franklin to give to not only the school district, but it goes into our annual report. Is basically what police-related activities occurred, and it's not to show that your district has issues, but every school has issues, every district does, but at least it shows what level. So 24 tobacco violations were issued citations, 3 underage drinking where a school student showed up with alcohol on the breath or whatever happened, 74 truancies, and we track that so we can also see what the effect of having a school liaison officer is, but also to let people in the community know what exactly is happening in your schools. And I think it's important that we're transparent with that.
And that would probably help with the report out then too, to have a sense about those.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to address. I mean, officers sign this for they want to help out do whatever they can, and that doesn't usually come with check and other ways that what I'm envisioning them to do is that they're there to help. So that's kind of what I was looking at, the human shift. Right that shift in it.
And when you say administrative, I mean, there are some things that school liaison officers do that you may think are administrative, but they go into a classroom and teach from time to time different topics that are associated with law enforcement or school security, that type of thing. And that's also noted in the report that comes to us, or comes back to the city I work in, where we know how many classes were taught, we know all these things. So it's kind of interesting to see, because they are doing a lot that I don't think we really, because like you said, the report was very administrative based, but they're doing a lot of stuff that I think we at least would be interested in knowing. Maybe it wouldn't go out in an annual report like we do, but at least we would be, I think, very interested in seeing what's the level of activity that the police are needed in our schools.
So the report here is that shows how many tickets were given. We've been corresponding to out through tip to the video, so then we know that it's useful. So something like that.
I fill out some mindset that, when you talk there and you get up there and walk around, and that's exactly what you said. And I don't know, there's more of that, but I don't see it. I don't want to, it's a fact, though. To me, like, it wasn't a mama.
And there's just some different philosophies as to uniform versus non-uniform. I know our middle school is uniform, our high school is not.
But it's obvious she's a police officer. She wears a badge and a gun.
And I think that had a lot to do with the police department made that determination with the administration that was best, and that's fine.
You can identify.
There's no question
It's
she's
clear.
not.
That's what I guess I'm saying, that it's clear when
The presence.
and it's walking down. Walking down, and you know what? I hear it.
That's behind those e-cigarettes.
That's just like the police cars, there's one thousand more neighborhoods, and everyone, like it, whatever.
Well, thank you for that feedback. I'll make sure to talk with the PD about that. Number 13 is the other change. And that would be, right now, mileage and conferences are all under the city of Muskego. They're asking when there is a school resource officer that needs to receive some training that's specific to that school resource officer duties, that the Muskego Norway School District share in that cost.
And I, again, respectfully disagree. But I would agree to that if we have the ability to make a determination whether we want that officer sent to that training. But if we have no say in that, then there's no reason that we should be paying for it.
So are you talking to me as the board lead or maybe the building administrator?
I'd say the district administrator. If it's gonna pick one, I think it's gonna pick one. It's something that needs to be done.
Well, ultimately,
Eric, can you give us an example of what?
ultimately it's their officer. And there are definitely, by no means am I saying there's definitely schools and training that they need to go to. And there are schools and training that are niceties that they may feel are important, a conference, a seminar, that maybe we don't. Right now, the City of Muskego Police Department can send them at their own expense to any of these and let that continue. If it's coming in front of us and we're going to use our dollars and cents to send them to training, then we should have some say over whether we feel that is a required or mandatory or important training or one that isn't. And I'm not too sure that the police department wants the school district dictating or being a part of that decision.
We could narrow this. I know that there was a request when Erin started at Bay Lane for us to share in the cost of her getting the school resource officer kind of onboarding, the orientation training that they had to go to. I mean, she had to go out of, I think even out of state or maybe out of the area and stay overnight, all that kind of stuff. Maybe we are just very specific that when a new school resource officer needs onboarding or orientation training, that we could share that cost. And any additional training beyond that would just be.
I wouldn't mind taking one. We include the basic. Would you think the startup or the new orientation that would fall under kind of almost, I don't want to say it's a no-brainer part. Maybe beyond that, originally I asked building administrator, but the more I think about it, I don't necessarily want to put building administrator in that position of having to say no. So maybe anything beyond that, just go to either you or maybe business services.
I think just to the schools or to the police department.
Oh, I mean just.
If it's certification that you need to be a school resource officer, or ongoing certification you need to to maintain that position, I have no issue with us splitting the cost. When it's other things that are, the biggest thing that I would have issue with is conferences, seminars, these things that aren't necessary for that position. They might be nice to have. But you gotta also remember, that employee at some point in time is going back to the city of Muskegon Police Department. At that point in time, the benefit to us for the money we spent on training is pretty minimal.
The only thing, the only thing that's come to mind, and it's probably so odd that would happen that, it's worry about it, but the unknown, something new comes up that also becomes a problem in school, specific schools with law enforcement, that maybe we want to get training for that one thing, but like I said, it could be so far out there that those weird things that could just ask. Yeah, but we're not, sure, but we're not, we don't know what we don't know.
When we apply for training, it's certain amount of training that
The tracking system, yeah, that's how it'll work. No, I mean, I see where you're going with it, but.
I mean, work definitely, we have a common team, but if you're not interested in doing that, then I don't know what's the point of pursuing what you have.
So let's just go back, I guess, with the orientation. We'll share costs.
The ongoing certification.
Any required ongoing certification, they're required to have AR.
No, I don't think so either.
But,
Because
the
it could
orientation and ongoing, 'cause otherwise,
It could be a lot, because I know that they serve on our emergency response team, for the district, and anything that has to do with safety or crisis plan development, and we want them to be able to do that, and, as a service to our system too. But, I mean, we could start this way, and then, kind of see how it
we'll start
goes.
with that.
Okay.
That's probably mostly what the brain.
That was the initial conversation we had, so we'll go from there.
Okay with that? Yes.
Okay. And then lastly, there is, actually, we would like to make a change. The administration, item 8 is the school resource officers shall also serve as DARE instructors. We want to change that to a broader term and say, serve as instructors for educational programs such as DARE, just in case they're something we continue to, Oh, DARE was the other though. So that's a specific, that was the other training that they wanted us to pay for.
Is that a continuous training?
Ongoing, well, it was for Erin, and it was just for the initial. She needed to be trained to do that DARE. I'm not sure if they need that
But that would
ongoing.
fall under orientation.
You could.
The only thing that's up there is like, I've said it before, kind of on the subject here. I wish we could find an alternative to it. I give data that has any impact on her.
That's why we don't want to put it in there as that. But we could look at it as if that is the program that they're serving our system, that educational program, we could, in whatever educational program that we would have them leading in our classrooms, that could be the other area that we do have.
So out of the 3 SROs, how many of those teach data?
Yeah. What do you think about DARE training?
I think part of it.
It's expensive, I'll tell you that.
Do you need to be certified on team for those? I think that was required.
But it's not to be an SRO. It's not required to be an SRO. It's the district.
Well, if we're asking you to do the DARE teaching, I think we could have a cost. Take their level.
Well, we're not asking them to do the DARE teaching. How DARE evolved is DARE was a police department or law enforcement program. that officers were trained, and then they asked us to use our schools, our classrooms, our instructional time to teach there. And it's always been that way. So we're allowing them to come in to teach there. I'm not saying it's a good or bad program. I think it's a very good program, but just we're not hiring them to come in and teach there.
Well, according to the contract, that number 8, yeah, they shall serve as their instructors. Well, that's pretty much our requirement, it's by that language. Right. I agree. So if we want to change the language.
There is not a part of any state required instruction.
Well, I understand, but under Brett's point, and I agree with it, with this contract, we're requiring them to do it. Now, we don't want to have it being a requirement of the contract.
Well, I think what it is so in probably the majority of districts, SROs do not teach there. They have officers that are their officers that come in and teach there. What we're saying here is the SROs will also teach there. I'm not too sure if we wanted it that way or if they wanted it that way. I'm guessing they did because then it doesn't take officers off the road. So I'm guessing that they asked that their officers or that the SROs teach there.
How much classroom time is involved?
I'm just gonna guess, but I'm pretty sure it's like twice a week, so probably 2 hours a week for.
It's pretty small.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I don't know for sure, but
Well,
it's fairly significant. I mean, we've had discussions about this several times about how much time it takes. You ask any 5th grade teacher, and they're concerned about the amount of time it takes. But they're also committed to the police department and the program. True?
So maybe we change the language that the SROs will serve as actually police department sponsored instructors for the police department sponsored programs, such as the.
I think it's a bigger conversation. My thought, I mean.
Well, what it's coming down to is, so it's.
Do we even want teaching there anymore? I mean, I understand we don't want to pull it out, but maybe the conversation would be, they have a community resource officer position. They could be willing to split the training for one position in the police department. And they use that position to teach there and increase the SROs to be doing more.
Yeah, I think they would probably say that that is an opportunity for that SRO to build those relationships. When you talk about the benefit of the building of the relationships, there is a vehicle for that.
Also, he has no problem with relationships. Whatever he's doing in Lake Canoe, transfer that to Bay Lane and you're all set.
Yeah, we're good.
Was this 8 was always in there, correct?
8 was always in there, and then we were just recommending, should it say that the school resource officers shall also serve as instructors for educational programs, such as this.
Drug awareness program. Drug and alcohol awareness program.
I think police department sponsored that. I think cover that, because like I said.
Keep us out from having to pay.
The way it sounds right now is we're having DARE and we're sponsoring the instructors to do it, which kind of implies that language. I think if we specify that as a police department sponsored program, like cut out that ambiguity and say responsibilities on them, but these are people who'd like to be teaching through our program.
Except if we come up with a different program, a second time or something, kind of thing.
Right. And there are a couple of national programs that Ted is actually looking at that are free of charge, but I don't know what the information
So
is
the shoe could switch to the other foot if we say, well, this is your program, you have to implement, and then we find something that's rather more effective and we want to teach them. They say, well, this is your program, we pay them.
sense to me.
But if we're asking the officers, instructors for it.
Yeah.
That's why I said this is more being a bigger conversation.
It's kind of interesting that we sent this back for a deed change.
I know.
And now we're looking at financial ramifications of this program and another program. And the funny part about the whole thing is it's all coming out of the same two pockets, the cities or the school districts. That's right.
Why don't we just send it back with the approval, state title on this part, just say no for now. Go back. We've agreed to split that.
Yeah, on the onboarding and the recertification of SROs. And we'll lighten up the language for the educational program so that we're not tied into using DARE if we find a different program. But we won't agree to pay for DARE, essentially. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, at this point. Okay. Clear. Thank you. All right, then we have an item, network infrastructure and Chromebook lease. Tony? Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't the superintendent's report. Go ahead.
What's she say?
Just give her the gavel.
Okay.
As board may remember, about a year ago, I presented kind of a year-end summary of where we're at in terms of our infrastructure and technology. One of the major, we call it Achilles heels of the infrastructure is the age of our network. And by that I mean switches. And I brought in a problem. When I say switches, that might not mean much maybe. But this is a 24-port Cisco switch. And this one is about 9 years old. And this one is down. So we had to replace it. So when we're talking about switches, we're basically talking about stacks. And you can imagine all these ports in the front what routes our data. So, talk about switches. This right there. The Chromebook One-to-One initiative has been a great thing for the district. Of course, it's also increased the demand for connectivity and also the number of ports. And there's one specific thing. Most of the switches that we have in the district are no longer under warranty, no longer supported by Cisco, which is the current brand of about 95% of our switches. So because of their age, they're just what's called end of life. What that also means is we have about, as I mentioned in our Word docs, by next year, probably an additional 5,000 devices running across the network, which again is great. That would be a combination of devices that have been purchased by the district, primarily from the Chromebook One-to-One, and also the bring your own device. We have an open network. Students can connect with that with a phone. So anytime there's students accessing more than just one device, in most cases they have them all. And that is fine. The other part is we have a meeting with multiple vendors to run through all of our closets. I'm sure many of you have spent hours going over the video that I've attached to this, which basically shows every network closet across the district. And basically, we've had 3 vendors go through and assess and then propose the best solution for the district. I've not included those only because we're still in the competitive bid process for all 3 vendors. They are aware that we do stream our working fund. And at the same time, we're getting very close to it. The point would be that we need to make these steps so that we can have a reliable network. And of course, we're going to increase our speeds too. Just recently made some updates across the network. Upgraded our bandwidth from 400 megabytes to 1 gig to the district. We've also increased the fiber connectivity to each road. That will benefit testing, of course, but more than that, the actual speed of all content across classrooms and schools, phones, internet content, network, infinite campus. So what will be coming is I wanted to start a conversation about this. I don't want to inundate you with too much information because really there isn't a lot of light to this other than to say that we need to replace what's currently there. And they have slowly been done. We've been stocking a few spares back. That's certainly not going to keep us from this is kind of a 3-part topic. The board had asked us to look at whether or not the fund balance would be a resource funding for projects. The first one I was mentioned was the Chromebook one-to-one. Just for the sake of conversation, this would be another one. Having talked with Kelly about that, certainly the Chromebook one-to-one is in its build phase, and we're adding large groups, large numbers while we build. But starting in the 16-17 school year, we'll be just adding fifth and third. So it'll be small, and we feel that might be a more appropriate time to consider purchasing. We're certainly not opposed to that. But because from my vantage point, it's something that we certainly need and want to move forward with. The best way to fund it, Julie and I will continue to look at the best option for the district. I think as we start to reduce the overall size of it, the idea of using the fund balance money might be a realistic idea. The other thing is the Chromebook one-to-one initiative would be way more expensive than the network. But one of our vendors does provide 0% financing for the network switch process. And so at that point, one might think, well, they're just charging you more on the devices. But we do actually have another vendor that offers 0% also, so we can kind of back up. But it isn't just about adding more to the actual cost of hardware. So we are getting 0% financing. So that's the answer to too many topics. The reason I thought having 3 separate agenda items when we were combining 3 once again, the idea of the network switch proposal, funding through fund balance, and that is a consideration and option. And last but not least, we are going to be continuing with our third and final round of our first 3 years of one-to-one rollout, noting that next year we'll have 8th grade and 12th grade, which completes that entire extension through 12th grade. Should be a big step.
Wait, what? You're going to do 12th grade? No. 12th grade just got this, right?
The 11th graders.
11th just got it this year.
Sorry, yeah. Okay, thank you.
So 8th grade and
8th grade and yeah, thank you. Yep. So
Which one?
it'll be next year we're 11th grade and we'll go to 12th, so we'll have 8th grade, 7th grade, and 7th grade.
11th grade does that one this year?
10th grade has it, they got them the year before.
so it must be
9th and 10th, and
Yeah,
so next year, the 11th graders will have them.
so it'd be freshmen and 8th grade.
Yeah.
So an interesting caveat is the current device, which is what you see people use from using, they are the Samsung X303s. Those have been decommissioned by Samsung. So while it's an improving device for us, we are moving on to the next step, which will probably be something, the next incarnation is every piece of technology is usually faster and more powerful, of course, it's just a little more expensive. So we've actually tested around the devices using a local one, put them in the hands of students and staff, and a very comprehensive survey that was run from our tech center at high school. So it's very exciting to have an active process to see out of the next versions. So we'll have an updated processor and more RAM, about 11.6 inches, which is what.
So we're still going to be able to get parts for this for the next 3 years?
Yes. And we're looking at multiple vendors again. CDW was our vendor for the last couple rounds of purchasing. We are looking at another vendor that is directly involved and in service locally. Of course, we have Dell is another very trusted vendor for the district. Short details will be coming, but we have a conclusion of the last time we did this was the lease that we had to get, so it's this timing of multiple moving parts, getting the best pricing, getting the leasing alignment, and having that.
I'll start with the fund balance. My idea wasn't to use fund balance to pay for this, it was to act as a bank. Right, yeah, so that budget line, that department would go back every year and refill that fund balance, pull down. So,
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing we gotta be concerned with right now with fund balances is talking about referendum for the building and stuff. Yeah, it's very important that you keep the fund balance as high as is available.
Right, so there's, with the fund balance, we had talked about, a while back, you still have about just a little over 2 million that we could utilize before having a short-term borrow, which is, one of the board's policies to not have a short-term borrow taxable. But it does also affect our bond rating. So if we were to, move into going for a referendum and it were to be successful, the ups and downs of fund balance actually have a negative impact on our bond rating. Not that it would shift it down, but it won't help us move up either. So we just want to be aware of that. So we tried. But that being said, this year would be a more expensive lease. Next year, when it's out, that's not an issue to be able to do that.
How is it more expensive? It's like a course of the cost of money. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah, we pay about 2.5% interest rate now. So,
What's that cost per money? 2.5%. What's that dollar amount?
how much are
Yeah, paid them.
oh about $11,000 a year for lease.
Quarterly.
Yeah, we can. I mean,
Yeah, I think there should be more consideration. I think we should look at that a little bit.
we can.
Maybe share some of what we are with potential bond increases.
We can lay that all out as part of the looking at the bond, the referendum. Another piece to that is if we're using the whole chunk of fund balance this year and spending beyond our budget, even though we're paying it back, it does have a negative aid impact on us, that's a levy increase. So we'd have to run all that together.
Right. And that's why I think something to look at. Is there, I mean, if we do move forward to the switch part, into that conversation goes, but in my opinion, 0%, because that brings it, savings, where do you want to tackle these three items here? What is discussion on it, or is this more information here?
I would say some more information will be going by our next meeting. The only reason it's not is we haven't finalized that.
I almost question the fact that I'm curious over the switching places. You mentioned that, but you got some centers, once you guys, so that's good. Once you got I hear that switch. Well, I guess you actually had a vendor come in, different from the exit point. And, are you going to be looking to change how it goes as a result of this?
The question of there'll be a floating down. Vendors will work on configuration around. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there. How many questions? Sniper arm. Don't you want to move on to the next one, or should I?
There's your time mark.
Yeah, there we go. You had to do yourself.
Moving on with discussion item 6D, concrete work discussion.
Okay, Jeremiah is here.
Well, the board approved concrete work at the high school this summer. So right now, we're actually also in the process of the bidding. So substantially under. through that, I looked at other districts, other entrance ways, and done some graphic work from the most school district. I talked with Gray Architect, and kind of said, is there anything you can do to address the elementary rate to this project? And probably once for 2 years. And they suggested possibly having concrete up to meet through them. So we looked at pricing, and I put it in as an alternate bid for the bid package for the contract. It's estimated it costs like $5,000 to do that. We could do it separate bids. We do it in after the project, so we could do it. We propose to do it.
I think it'd be detrimental to our
Well,
referendum.
they know for.
I just think it'd be detrimental to our referendum efforts if we're doing stuff like that, that beyond what we need. We do more than one.
I get you. Oh, yeah, we're like, but it's a lot. It would be cool.
Great. I just, we want to donate it.
Sponsored by? Yeah, senior guest.
There you go.
Great idea.
I don't know, years ago.
$5,000.
Well, if it's too much, then you could collaborate with other classes. You've got a substantial? Oh.
You know, in that stamp, you could put, class of 2015. And then everywhere that we use that stamp in the future, he's talking about every time we put concrete, we put that stamp in there. Class of 2015.
What can you do for us?
Put a new addition onto the high school.
Class of 20.
Absolutely.
No. That would be a lie.
Let's try it.
All right. Well, thanks, Jeremiah.
Moving on, information follow-up.
I've got one. So, yeah. I didn't we always have this the reason why we don't do that, I didn't I don't think these are forever.
Right. These are just purely information. The board does not have to ask.
So what's the difference?
There are some hires in here.
Yeah, so what's the difference between?
You know, we actually have a board agreement of what falls under information, what falls under. So we have a T chart, and so we can bring that back to the board on May 4th. You can see what falls under information.
Especially since we have, I'm sure that was created before we had consent agenda.
It was.
And since we have consent agenda, altogether.
We could even list it just as action and informational, just put all the employment stuff you can.
So you can just have, I mean, we're 8 people hired. That's under consent. There's an issue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. People.
That may be the best piece of information follow-up we've got. Any other requested information follow-up? Hearing none, I need a motion to move into closed session. closed session, specifically, for items that the board has jurisdiction over, in this case, health insurance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, who's seconded that? You can speak about it.
We will be moving to closed session after about a 2-minute break.
But I took it later. No, I think it was here to support, Amy, I mean, Kathy, but Ken and Brian.
I have plenty of them.